From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, direct from the shores of Santa Monica, California, live this morning. We'll go over the incredible great news about the recessionary front that is buffered with $80,000 of new stimulus checks that started paying out. Have you gotten your checks? I'll go over the success story of one viewer overnight who got her application on file, and she's ready to pounce, Purple Hawks. We'll be looking at 6 stimulus to fade off the threat of recession. This is the biggest stimulus package you've ever seen in the history of this channel, caused by Vladimir Putin. Wheat, grain, soybeans, corn, oil, and the banking industry. To be solved, what's happening, all the latest details on the 6 stimulus package that would happen at the same time, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Then we'll go back to Build Back Better, which is going to happen, and those incredible checks in there that you need to know and how much they are, including those MSCs. More detail tonight in prime time in that 1-hour special broadcast of Evenings LA at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Then we'll go over the latest details of CR for stimulus and breaking news about the SS300 tied to inflation. What's the latest details on that inflationary front? I have it all today in this broadcast. Then we'll be looking at the big money for third stimulus that you can get for rent and also for homeowners. It's a big broadcast with a lot of major training events across the board. We'll be looking at the CR for stimulus, the SS300, the Build Back Better Act, but of course those $80,000 of checks are now paying out. All the money you need to get, and the 6th stimulus on its horizon. Meantime, we're looking at the oil situation overnight. Major twists across the board that surprised everyone. Everything you need to know. It's a big broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California. We got all the deliciousness because it's Mornings LA. The toast is toasted, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing on mornings. And the deliciousness starts right now. And good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It is Mornings LA here, live from Santa Monica, California, with a big day and a lot of money. The issue at hand is those $80,000 of checks. Oh my goodness, exciting, alive, paying out. And viewers getting their applications on file. We'll look at one success story, brand new overnight. She got her application on file. She's ready to pounce per box, and you should as well. We'll be looking at 6 stimulus to fade off and fend off that recessionary environment. And what does it mean for you? It's the biggest stimulus package you've ever seen in the history of this channel. It's happening. What is it? It's coming up in today's recording. Then we'll be looking at SS300, major developing details on that overnight. It's the inflation and what's happening with it next week. Oh, we got a big broadcast live on air. Then the energy situation getting bad, worse overnight. What happened with Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, and UAE overnight to solve the energy crisis? It's not good news, and Vladimir Putin must be laughing. I'll be going over that later in this video. Then we'll be looking at CR for stimulus and everything you need to know. It's a big recording, and we have a lot of money. But first, we're going to start with the Build Back Better Act. In prime time on Evenings LA tonight, we're going to go over each of these incredible checks one at a time. But first, let's go over a preview of them right now. 3 clusters and 3 add-ons that amount to at least $15,000 of checks. Here we go. In that first cluster, we have in there hazard pay and money for elder care. We also have in there money for children, and also the CTC, the $3,600, the nutrition, the bike, the car, and also the college students. Again, tonight in prime time, we go over all these incredible checks on Evenings LA, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. The first add-on of checks comes from Maxine Waters here in Southern California. It's a little bit less than $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. How do you get it? It's featured tonight on Evenings LA in prime time. The second cluster of checks has the home repairs and also the paid leave. Those home repairs and paid leave, a lot of money. Paid leave can be upwards to an incredible $4,000 to $6,000 across the board. When we look at the second of three add-ons of checks from the legislators, we find it with Bob Casey, $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Third cluster checks has the seniors checks and the free internet for all checks. In that third cluster, we have in there farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and then seniors checks, which involve hearing checks, vision, dental, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, plus the Medicaid gap fix, which will provide a workaround plan, provide insurance to uninsured people in 12 Republican holdout states, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to this MSC. The other checks to this recon, the other checks they would add in there, of course, are MSC. MSC, what are they? Tonight on Evenings LALATE in prime time, we go over these checks in details. But they are paid out the same way as third stimulus, says the legislators to viewership of this channel. Single individuals, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, get it, double it. Family of four, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, you get it as well, along with adult dependents. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. But what do you need to know about the MSC? I'll detail tonight on Evenings LALATE in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 7 Central, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Now, when we're talking about the senators adding checks to the MSC to the recon, that's on top of the existing checks that pay you $15,000 to $80,000 across the land. But what you need to know is that Build Back Better Act, passed in the House, sitting in the Senate, is not a law. But the add-on of this is a law. What are we looking at? We're looking at a fourth stimulus add-on or ancillary piece of legislation, and it is now law, folks, and it is paying out $80,000 of stimulus checks. What is it? How do you get it? It's coming up after the commercial break. But let's continue both domestically in a second. Also coming up at the commercial break is the sixth stimulus package, the biggest payout of checks you've ever seen in the history of this channel. It is not for COVID. It is not to come out of COVID. It is for Putin. Putin caused stimulus. And in the second half of this video, we're going to go over why it's being done and why it got more entangled overnight because of a major twist on Iran, Iraq, and UAE. This is all your money, and it's being impacted by the world events. It's six stimulus, and it's coming up in the second half of this video. But let's turn back to CR for stimulus. CR for stimulus, the continuing resolution passed this last week in Congress, became law. It did not get a $2,000 stimulus check in there, but it once again mirrored the history this channel made 2 years ago. This channel 2 years ago made history by getting a $600 single stimulus check in a continuing resolution. I came up with the idea and the creation, and it got out the door. But in doing it at the time, there was criticism. The criticism was a CR is not supposed to have any money for citizens in it. It's a continuing resolution to fund the federal government. Well, here's a shocker. The CR passed this week has money in there for you as citizens because the legislators 2 years ago said it doesn't belong in there, turned around and put it in there on a county level. Yes, there is no $2,000 stimulus check in the CR this time around, but clearly they must have been watching this channel because they put county stimulus in there. So watch your county news, your local news to see the money that got in there. In the case of Georgia, there's a lot of county stimulus, all featured in the local news this weekend. All right, let's turn now to SS300. SS300 got major twists overnight, and this new week, you're going to see huge twists for the SS300. Why? Because SS300 is dependent upon inflation. And we're going to see new pivots potentially from Jay Powell, your Federal Reserve, to deal with inflation this week. Let me tell you what's at issue. What's at issue when we look at inflation is the surging economic uncertainty caused by Vladimir Putin. Let's go over the equation at hand right now. Jay Powell's job is as Fed head is to reduce inflation, but you don't want him to reduce it just yet because Joe Biden needs to swap out your COLA for inflation. Let's go over the details. SS200, SS300, not created by me, created by Liz Warren and adopted by Joe Biden, is the promise to swap out COLA for inflation as your benchmark. You want to swap out the benchmark now when it's its highest level inflation of a generation. You don't want to wait till later. Where is inflation right now and where's it going? Let's go over that part of the equation right now. Inflation last year, featured on this channel, was predicted by me to come in at 8% in December 2021. Wall Street and Fed Chair Jay Powell said it was going to be 1 to 2% and then come back down. I said no, I said 8% and sustaining at it. The month of December came in 7.5%. So it came in on the money as I predicted. Then this last Thursday, the CPI number released, the Consumer Price Index, which gauges inflation for the month of January. I predicted 8% again. So where did it come in at? It came in at 7.9%. Got it on the money again. That was Thursday. As of Thursday, we look like we're tracking still at 8% inflation. Good. Meaning that Joe swaps from COLA to inflation were good at the moment. So here's part of the equation that is problematic. We're good if Joe makes a swap in the month of March now or in the month of April. We're problematic with May. Let me tell you why. His name, Jay Powell. Jay Powell's job is to reduce inflation. And how does he reduce that inflation? He reduces it by raising interest rates. This is what Jay Powell has told us and what he hasn't told us and what he's likely to tell us in the next 48 hours. Number one, he has told us that he will be raising inflation rates in the next 5 of 5 meetings of the FOMC in the United States. The first meeting is just a few days from now, next week. That's number one. Number two, he has given us guidance what he's going to do at the March FOMC meeting. He will do the lesser strength move, which is a 1/4 basis point increase for interest rates. Good. But what about April? For April, he says, I won't go any higher, but if the situation changes, I will. Here is why it's a little problematic at the moment. Problematic number one. On Thursday, we got the CPI number, 8%, good. But we also got Christine Lagarde, the ECB chair. Who is she? She is Jay Powell's counterpart for the European community. And she said inflation is tracking a little bit hotter than people are thinking. Higher, hotter, same word. That could signal that Jay Powell, if he's watching, say, maybe I need to come in more aggressively in April. Oh, that's number one. Number two was Friday. The 10-year Treasury note surged to its highest level in nearly several weeks. What happened? The 10-year Treasury note surged 1 basis point to 2.016% because bond traders thought that the CPI number for January may be actually weaker than the February number, or that it may be continued thereafter. As Thomas Papavalos, I just butchered that one, Tanos Papavalos, founder and chief investment officer at ABP Invest, he said inflation's here to stay. There you go. So if inflation's here to stay, Jay Powell at that April FOMC meeting, not this month, but next month, may come in more aggressively. Am I concerned if Joe Biden makes a swap from COLA inflation in March? No. Am I worried about April? No. Why am I not worried about April? Because whatever Jay Powell does in April, it takes a month to filter through the system. It doesn't impact the economy overnight. I'm worried about May. Because if Jay Powell does something in April, it may be felt in the economy by May. You want Joe to make that swap from COLA inflation at least before April, when your benefits are highest. Let's go over the analysis right now. If Joe makes a swap today or at any time when inflation is 8%, you're going to get about $200 more per month. Not just this month, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Once you lock in 8%, locked in a generation. It will never go back down. Number two, inflation will go down later this year, and when they reassess your benefits at the end of this year for next year, it'll be lower, but it'll be about 4%. So you'll get another $100 there. That's SS 300. Incredible details. So Joe, make the phone call. Call that Social Security Administrator head, swap out COLA for inflation. That will alleviate the financial pressure on my beneficiaries. And that would raise them up $200 now across the board, and then another $100 in December. That's SS 300, the latest update on that. This week, we're going to see what Jay Powell says when at that FOMC meeting, if he gives us guidance about what he's going to do for April. I want to see that guidance, and we're going to see what the bond traders look at this week. Will the 10-year Treasury note continue to surge upward? They're going to, if they do that again, that's their signal that they think inflation is hot now, hotter than the month before, or as hot. Any of those things signal that Jay Powell will come in more aggressively. Remember, if inflation is tracking at 8% right now in March, or 8.1% or 7.95%, that means Jay Powell will come in more aggressively. That's why you want Joe Biden to make the swap right today. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over these $80,000 of stimulus checks. I'm so excited. This is not pie in the sky. This is not a proposal. This is law. And people are getting paid. Purple Hawks, get ready to pounce. And here's one viewer. She got her application on file overnight. This is the example of the week. Her name is Beatrice. I'll show you why Beatrice did this so well. And she pounds and she got her application on file to get those $80,000 of checks. Then we'll be looking at 6th stimulus happening at the same time as 4th. And we'll be looking at 3rd stimulus that can pay you money for rent. We got all these incredible sums of money. Plus, we'll be looking at the recessionary concerns. As the oil industry got more entangled overnight, it's not good news. I'll have the latest details on that as we go into a big second half. $80,000 of checks, while the oil industry got more bad news overnight, and also 3rd stimulus, and then, of course, 6th stimulus. It's a big morning's broadcast live on air. We'll be back in 60 seconds, but first, here's a little bit about the community page. See you as Mornings LA continues.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues right now on live on air from Santa Monica, California, with the recessionary concerns that 6th stimulus will solve. We'll go over that incredible 6th stimulus package that will be happening at the same time as 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But we're going to start first with that incredible map of $80,000 of checks, all featured tonight in Evenings LA. You want to tune into that primetime show. It's at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern Standard Time. Let's start with these incredible $80,000 of checks, going over what they are first, then how you get paid, and everything else you need to know. Build Back Better Act, the 4th stimulus recon, not law yet. In the House, passed, sent to the Senate, not law yet. But out of nowhere, the President of the United States last Friday, two Fridays ago, announced a new law. It's $80,000 of stimulus checks. Number one, it's law. Number one. Number two, it's nationwide everywhere. Number three, it's live. And while Build Back Better Act, not law, this is law, and it's paying out. Let's go over everything you need to know across the board. Announced by the President of the United States on that Friday, 2 Fridays ago, it was buried in an article, buried by the White House. You do not see it in broadcast media, print media, and you will never see it. I covered it the minute it was announced and immediately slid into the membership newsletter that night, that Friday, from me, because it's so important for viewers to get that application on file. It will be much like EIDL, which never was on your broadcast media. They never covered it. And yet, $25 million was gotten by viewers of this channel by watching my ELDL videos. So this is now live. Let's go over everything you need to know. First, how much money is it? $15,000 to $80,000 of stimulus checks, number one. Number two, what is it called? The homeowners grant. Number three, how do you get it? Become a member. The membership link is under the video. Where does it pay out? How does it pay out? It pays out based upon income qualifications, which are exactly the same as third stimulus income qualifications. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. The same as a third stimulus. The only difference is when we talk about third or fourth stimulus, we say double the check, quadruple the check if there's 4 people in the household. No, you do not quadruple the $80,000. It's not $320. It's $15,000 to $80,000 per household. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you can get it as well. All you have to be is within the zone of income qualification, and you have to own a home. If you're not a homeowner, stay with me, because later in this video, I have your money. It's third stimulus, which is for rent and for homeowners. Yes, there's an overlap for my homeowners. So let's continue. When the President of the United States announced this in a buried news article 2 weeks ago, I featured immediately for the membership in the newsletter. So what do? You want to become a member. The membership link is under this video and at the top of the video. The membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. It features the name of the program. It features the link to apply. It features the website to go to. It features the eligibility, the payouts, and everything you need to know. Now let's go over the application process. The application process looks 100% like day one of this channel. On day one of this channel, I was on a empty beach during a lockdown in Hermosa Beach on April 25th, 2020. On April 25th, I pressed record, and for those 2 viewers, I said, hi, my name is LA, and in 3 days from now, a program is about to go live called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. On April 28th, it's going to go live, but they're accepting the applications today on April 25th. I told those 2 viewers to apply on the 25th. Don't wait till the 28th. And those 2 viewers did. Guess what happened? The day that the programs opened up officially on the 28th, the viewers looked at their bank account. There was a check in there. Yes, this is how programs work. They have pre-authorization, and then they have the payment process. So when they start to receive the applications on day one, that's when you apply. You don't wait to apply when they start paying out, because guess what happens? What will happen now is what happened back in 2020. When they started to pay out on April 28th, some people waited then to apply. And when did they get paid? Some got paid a month to 2 months later. Some never got paid because they ran out of money. So you don't want to wait to apply. Let's go over the map right now. The map shows you the situation across the board. Number one, every state. It's every state across the union. Every state rolls it out at a different time frame. So if you're in a teal state, like California, Texas, Florida, New York, it means it's receiving the applications now and is also paying now. In the case of Ohio, Mississippi, South Carolina, Nevada, Oregon, pink, what does that mean? It means they will receive your application now and they'll pay you on a later date, which means the following: you apply immediately. After this video is over and you're finished watching every single minute of this video, and you're finished watching the next video after this as well, then you go apply. You apply today. You do not wait for Ohio to switch from pink to teal. You do not wait for Alabama, for Mississippi to switch from pink to teal. You apply today. You do not wait, because when it switches to teal, people then will think, oh, I apply now. And guess what? They'll get paid 3 months from then. And potentially the funds can run out. So you do not wait. I'm so excited for this viewer. And she is our example du jour. Beatrice Guzman was in Evenings LA live show last night in prime time. Make sure you tune in tonight's broadcast, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The most watched show in financial news in the United States in prime time. She writes the following: Hey, LA, I applied for the homeowners stimulus, And it was not difficult at all. They said I applied successfully. Thank you. I'll let you know what happens. I'm in Texas, and they have the homeowners program. So great job, Beatrice. She's not a Purple Hawk, so she was a viewer who watched the video, understood, and pounced like a Purple Hawk. Great job, Beatrice. Here's Texas, her state, teal. So she applied, and they have the applications accepting now. So as soon as they process it, they'll pay her. Great job, Beatrice. Again, this pays $15,000 to $80,000 per household. It pays for items that many viewers of this channel want coverage for, like property taxes, home repairs, association fees, utilities, and mortgage assistance. So get this sums of money right now. Let's turn to that membership newsletter. The membership newsletter is where you learn how to apply. How do you apply? Become a member. Become a member. The link is under the video or at the top of the video. Become a member now and get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. It sends you the link to go right into apply, the details, and what you need to know about eligibility, price, and coverage. It's incredible. Now, the YouTube alert system, that is the way the membership newsletter is delivered to you. So if you're watching this video and got an alert that a video is playing, that is a YouTube alert. The membership newsletter comes via YouTube alerts Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It does not come by email. It does not come by PDF. It does not come by horse and buggy. It does not come by lobster delivery. So I've had all these hysterical quotes and questions in the last few days. I thought it gets hand-delivered to my house with a basket of lobster sauce. No, that's Mitch's doing, not mine. It's delivered via the YouTube alert system. The YouTube alert system. If you want to learn about this video, then watch Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. exactly for the, well, almost exactly, for the alert of the membership newsletter. And it says newsletter. It doesn't say lobster. That's how you know it's a newsletter. And there you rock and roll. Get the incredible $80,000 of checks. And I'm very excited for the viewers of the channel. I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud for you. Because in the universe of people out there, there are people that will literally go into the next month and say, you know, Four Symbols never paid out anything. And we'll be sitting back laughing our heads off. Yeah, it did. And we cashed the check, 3 weeks ago. Sorry. I'll see you next year. There are people that are just going to sit back and say, yeah. We'll just be like, okay, yeah, we got the check. So you can run that narrative somewhere else. So I'm so proud of the viewership of this channel who understand all these things. Now, here's something I want you to also understand. When I use a numbering system on this channel, it's to differentiate things. First stimulus package was for COVID. Second was for COVID. Third, earlier 2021 was for coming out of COVID. Fourth stimulus, Build Back Better Act, is coming out of COVID. And six is for Putin. When I use a numbering system, it does not mean that one has to finish before you go to the next. It does not mean you have to get paid on the first before you get paid on the next. I could use colors. I can use letters. I just use a numbering system so we separate it out so you know which one I'm referring to. So at the time of this recording, third is still paying, fourth is paying, and six is about to pay as well. And what is six? We're going to start that right now. The sixth stimulus package will be happening, and this is the Putin stimulus. This was the result of negotiations between the White House and our foreign allies like France and Germany. What do you need to know, and how does six stimulus work, and what are the monies? Let's go over the details starting right now, and the breaking news on this front. Six stimulus was formulated because France, Germany, and the United States understood that Vladimir Putin is negatively impacting their economies, our economies. And what did they decide? They decided it's better to get off of Putin items, Russian items like oil. And in getting off of those Russian items, our economies may go into a tailspin, a recession, unless we do another stimulus package. And that stimulus package would involve domestic spending, like raising the national debt in Germany, France, and the United States, and then sending out stimulus to our citizens because they cannot afford $5 a gallon. Putin-caused stimulus is to alleviate the economic issues. And what are they? Number one, oil. Number two, wheat, soybeans, grain, and the commodities of agriculture. And number three, the banking industry. What are the breaking details on six stimulus? I have a lot on this today because there's a lot of major developing details that formulated in the last few hours. First, for six stimulus, the two of the three most important men in the six stimulus package trying to reach out to Vladimir Putin and got no deal. And who are they? They are the heads of France and Germany. The heads of France and Germany spoke to Putin on Saturday, March 12th, 2022. And what was the result? No deal. No surprise there. Putin said, go pound sand. They tried to get Putin to lay down arms and end the war. And he said, no, that's not happening. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron spoke to Putin on Saturday, March 12th, tried to get him to stop the Ukrainian invasion. He said no. So six stimulus is going ahead, folks. Now, let me make something very clear to you because I want to make this very, very emphatically clear. Let's say a month from now, Putin stops the war. Six stimulus would still happen. Six stimulus would not happen if everything that economically Putin has disrupted is solved. But at the moment, it doesn't look like any of them are being solved. So six stimulus is happening either way, whether the war continues or doesn't continue. But the situation right now is the war is continuing because the leader of Germany and France reached out to Putin on Saturday, asked for solutions, and he said, no, I'm not stopping the war, number one. Number two, when we look at six stimulus, the number one issue is oil. Number two is the commodities of wheat, grain, soybean, corn. And number three is the banking industry. The oil situation got very bad overnight. You're hearing this for the first time live on air. I'll feature more about this tonight in prime time on Evening to LA. But what is the situation bad overnight? We had possible solutions for the oil crisis for our international allies. And one after another seems to be falling apart. Let's go over what's at issue. Putin has disrupted the energy situation, oil. And because of Putin, oil is surging in the United States. It's also surging for our international partners. But here's the problem. We, as an economy, could solve our oil crisis at home and prevent us directly going into recession. But if we don't get our partners to solve their oil crisis for oil and Putin as well, they go into recession and they drag us in as well. Let me say this another way. Let's say there's no longer an oil price problem in the United States, but we ignore the problem of oil in Italy, France, and Germany, our partner allies. They go into recession, and then we go into recession, even though we increase production of oil domestically. That is why we need to have a global addressing of the issue. What's the issue brand new on Mornings right now? Brand new issue on Mornings right now is that the international solutions for the energy crisis got very bad overnight. What's at issue? Germany and France are dependent upon Russian oil. 40% of their oil comes from Vladimir Putin, so they need to find a solution other than Vladimir Putin's oil. So where are they looking for? The options had been the following that I featured on this channel since day one of the invasion. They were Venezuela, UAE, Iraq, and Iran. Overnight, one after another fell apart. Let me tell you what's happening with each of them. Number one, the Iran situation got very bad overnight. Iran oil is part of the equation of what's called the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan, Joint of Action. What's at issue? Let me explain what's going on. Iranian oil is not available currently because we, for nearly half a decade, have been sanctioning Iran because of nuclear proliferation. Iran has been building up nuclear arms. So we went into sanctions against Iran and said, we're not allowing your oil to come to our country until you disarm your nuclear warheads. Well, all this last week and the week before that, since day one of the invasion, I said there was some element of optimism on the White House getting an Iranian nuclear agreement solidified, done. With that nuclear agreement, if it's done, then their oil comes back into our system and our partner allies, and we're done. We don't have to worry about the Russian oil situation. But I told viewers since day one of the invasion, I'm worried that the negotiations on this Iranian deal could take us all the way to June. We can't wait to June. Why? The situation of oil is very fluid. You cannot sustain the current level of oil in the United States through the month of May. If you do, we go into recession. So we've got about 8 weeks to solve this, folks. We can't do this past May. Otherwise, we're into recession. You solve this in July or August, it's too late. So I was always saying the Iranian deal was a little bit too far out in the future. I was worried it's going to take too long. Today, worse. The Iranian deal looks like it's falling apart. New reports today say that the Iranian deal may be falling apart. And who's causing it to fall apart? Putin. He's reportedly now threatening Iran to not do the deal. There has been intermittent talks for this deal. This is, again, the Iranian-U.S. Deal to remove the embargo on their oil. The actual deal is called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, to return to that deal of 2015. They've been trying to do these negotiations. In Vienna, and there has been an EU, a European Committee coordinator, but the situation today is bad. French, British, and negotiators said Saturday that it's disappointing that the EU coordinator has paused the Vienna talks. The talks are off. They're done. It was a fair and comprehensive deal that was on the table and was ready to be concluded, says a statement by German-French negotiators. It was our understanding that the U.S. and Iran had worked hard to resolve these issues, and they were ready to conclude the deals now. Nobody should exploit the CPO negotiations of saying assurances. The risk of collapsing the deal deprives the Iranian people of sanctions being lifted. What happened? U.S. was trying to get the deal with Iran done, to get that oil available to our partners and ourselves from Iran. We need that oil to go to our partners. We can't just fix our oil because we'll go into recession if our partners don't have oil. And the deal was really on the edge. And while the deal may have taken us all the way to May and maybe too late, the deal fell apart overnight. EU negotiators now say that the deal does not look like it's going to happen. So Iran is gone. Iran is no longer an option. What is option number two? Venezuela. Venezuela remains the number one producer of oil and exporter in the United States. Why are they not available to us? Why are they not available to our partner allies? Because they're also the most sanctioned of these countries. Yes, they're sanctioned very badly because of issues at home. So the White House has not been able to find a happy place for Venezuela either. At the time of this recording, it doesn't look like they're trying to figure out how to get around these sanctions and get Venezuela oil as availability. Number three, Iraq. Iraq was a rumor last week, and that's what shot up, that brought gas prices down for a few days. But it was only a rumor. Iraq is part of OPEC Plus. And guess who's also part of OPEC Plus? Putin. Yeah. So OPEC Plus has refused to increase production. And it was simply a rumor. OPEC Plus is detailed in a series of new reports today, March 13th as well. And OPEC Plus has reportedly refused to again increase production. If OPEC doesn't increase production, if Venezuela is not a solution, and if Iran is not a solution, then where's the solution? We have closed our eyes on the pressure valves to absorb the supply chain, says USB head of economics Norbert Ruddock. With the situation tangling, the shift to focus on OPEC is not happening. And that's why energy prices continue to surge right today. What is going on, and why is this deeply problematic? What's problematic when we talk about third stimulus is that sixth stimulus will happen because there looks like to be no solution on the forefront. Sixth stimulus is an international, national, and statewide stimulus package. First, it's international because it impacts your economy here, but it's because we have to fix our partner allies as well, and we have to fix it as a team. We have to fix oil, wheat, and the banking industry in the United States. Number two, it's a nationwide stimulus package because it'll be the biggest you've ever seen in the history of this channel. It will be bigger than first and second because Biden needs to do it because you, as an economy, Americans, cannot sustain the current price of gasoline, which is trading about $4.33 a gallon, AAA. I'll have the updated numbers tonight on Evenings LA. Number four, that you as an economy can not sustain the current levels for wheat and grain. Let me go over what's a wheat and grain situation. Wheat and grain is another reason they're doing a sixth stimulus package. You may understand that we produce wheat and grain in the United States, but why is the bread going up in the market? It's going up because the wheat grain exporter of Ukraine is not there anymore. Yes, Ukraine is a major exporter of wheat and grain to our partner allies, and when their product is not available, our product goes up in price. And if our product goes up in price, then everything made from our product, like bread, goes up in price as well. So what's happening? This is actually more problematic, and it starts with the Black Sea. The Black Sea is the major importer for wheat, grain, soybean, corn in that whole region. And now those farmers in the Black Sea are battling Russian invasion. They're not tending their crop. They're not harvesting for this season. They're not preparing the crop for next season. And the crop may be ruined for seasons to come if bombing is continuing in the area. So this wheat disruption could send us into recession alone by itself. Yes, before we even get to oil, wheat could send us into a recession. And that is why everyone's pivoting to get this international stimulus across the board, and domestically as well. When we look at statewide stimulus, what does that look like? That is where governors on March 8th, 2022, said exactly what I said 2 hours after broadcast. What happened? On March 8th, 2022, in prime time, Evenings LA recorded the very first 6 stimulus video, where I told you that there will be 6 stimulus on a nation and international level. By the time the video aired, state governors said, you know what? We need to help our citizens, and we will. So state governors have now stepped forward and saying, we will have state stimulus across the board. That state stimulus may involve everything from removing the tax on gas at the pump to other things across the board. Yes, you'll see this on an international, a national, and also a state level. The last part of the equation is the banking industry. This is where my feet start to shake. Why? Because this is the scariest of all of them. No one has assessed this risk, no one knows the risk, and we may not know the risk for several weeks to come. What's at issue? U.S. banks have major exposure to Russia investments. They have bought Russian investments over the years. Russian bonds, Russian stocks. We don't know how much they have bought of them. And what's happening? Russia's economy is about to go into a mode that they've never seen before. They started the war as the number 10 largest economy in the country, in the world, in the globe, with a great credit rating, and they're about to become valueless. They're likely to become the next Cuba. And that means that if a U.S. bank had investment in a Russian bond, it's about to become zero. What translates to you? That means when corporate earnings are announced domestically, Q2, Q3, Q4, 2022, corporations, banking industries may say, we have huge losses. We need help, government. We have a $500 million loss for investment in a Russian bond. You put us in a very difficult situation, so we need assistance. And who knows this better than anyone else? Joe Biden. Joe Biden and Barack Obama's first job on the training was day one of the Obama administration to save the banking industry from going under. And this could be 2.0. The banking industry, its exposure to Russian default on equities and bonds is unknown at the time of this recording. But the exposure is there. It is believed to be very large. If it is large, the White House will have to step in and ensure that the banking industry doesn't go under. That is all part of 6 stimulus. We'll feature more about this tonight in Evenings LA, but for now, get all these incredible sums of money. Also, third stimulus. Get that third stimulus sum of money, and we're going to show you to you right now. Third stimulus is money for rent and also homeowners. Yes, both of you. So homeowners, you get the homeowners grant, the $80,000, and you can get this. Renters, this is you. Get it, and where do you get it? By becoming a member. The membership link is under the video. Become a member and learn about all the details, but let's follow along right now to figure out where you get the money. Reach out to 6 places. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. It's all featured in the membership newsletter as well. Reach out to all 6 places and get that money. Get multiple applications on file and do multiple rounds. If you've had a success story from third stimulus, send it to me on private message. I'll feature it tonight on Evenings LA. All featured in the membership newsletter. That's why you want to become a member. Also, the nonprofits, lean on them. Now, let's stop with the nonprofits there. Let's freeze the screen. The nonprofits help with home repairs. So for my viewers who've been asking about those home repairs in the $80,000 homeowners grant, remember, you can get this from third stimulus as well, those nonprofits. That's the benefit of the membership newsletter. It features the nonprofits in there to get these items. And yes, you can overlap. We overlap all the time. Rely on those nonprofits and push Purple Power, because the average viewer of the channel has gotten $45,000 from this. You should as well. Send me your success stories. I'll feature it live on air tonight. Get this money right today. Do not wait. This is third stimulus, and this is in addition to those $80,000 of checks covered elsewhere in this video. In tonight's evening in LA, we go over the breaking details of the energy shortage and why Vladimir Putin's third week of invasion of Ukraine is potentially sending our economy in recession. Oil, gas, wheat, grain, very, very fluid situation, teed up for sixth stimulus. We'll be looking more about that new piece of legislation the president vows to introduce this coming week. This new piece of legislation is for COVID, but could potentially have a stimulus check in there. We'll be looking more about these $80,000 of checks and how you get it. If you're a member, get them. If you're not a member, become a member today and get those incredible sums of money. We'll be looking at why sixth stimulus is more important now than even yesterday because of the shocking developing details with Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, and UAE overnight. Sixth stimulus is going to be the biggest payout you ever see in the history of this channel. Then we'll be looking at SS300 because guess what? This coming week, we're going to see if Jay Powell gives us guidance for the month of March and, for the month of April for inflation. And we'll be looking to day one of this week. Will the bond market trade higher on the belief that inflation is hotter than it is? If it's hotter, it's better for your benefits. All those details and more as we go into a big day. But coming up next, if you're watching the show live on air, is Home LA at 11 a.m. I Stand With Ukraine edition. Meantime, later today is a brand new Afternoons LA and a brand new Evenings LA in prime time. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.